Here we go. Ace Ra stretched out on the flat white granite of the building's buttresses. She was filmed from every angle, and people watched live from the street as well as on real time at home. All right. Thank you for the chat there. Appreciate it. Welcome, Michael. All right. So far, no exploding bears in this. Well, time will tell, but there's not going to be any exploding bears. So anything could happen, but there's not going to be exploding bears. All right. On real time at home. Everyone was into real time now. Recording and watching back was so last millennium. There's no way I spelled that right on the first try. So let's get the computer spell for us, shall we? All right. Let's say her skin rolled with stripes and waves of orange and yellow from the sun. The secret to creating a really rich orange shade was to know orange was really brown. Really just brown. Not all of the transformations made possible by the very expensive jellyfish DNA injections. All right, let me spell a few things right here. So jellyfish DNA injections. All right, were completely under her control. I'm going to need to relook at that sentence because I don't know if it makes any sense. Not all the transformations made possible by the very expensive jellyfish DNA injections were completely under her control. Light, dazzled, bright off the lenses of her sunglasses, which were merely extensions of her own eyes that she could form and retract at will. Outside, she almost always lensed herself. It made her feel safer, less exposed. Let's say she continued with the orange and yellow ripples. Okay, I got two of these there. Let's fix that. All right, she continued with the orange and yellow ripples in, let's say, they made a nice contrast to the blues of the building as it undulated and rippled like a tentacle over the city and between the static buttress supports where Ra put on her show. Okay. She tilted her head a bit to the left and down toward the street. The live crowd. Alright. The live crowd applauded the... Good Lord, I'm just hitting every wrong key today. The live crowd applauded the attention she showed them. Some of them rippled with their own modifications. Most of them were cybernetic. That was considered old school, let's say, but more affordable than the jelly mods. Okay. Alright, so we got sort of a distant future thing going on here. Let's see if we can keep it going. Let's see. Enforcers. Okay. Knit a bear with a leg cramp. There you go. Need a bear with a leg cramp. Alright. Enforcers circled the designated space for the observers. Large recorders hovered above their helmets to freedom cast the crowd. Few of them waved, but most focused on this opportunity to see Aesra in action. She rolled to her stomach, and the crowd went wild. Comments flooded through her vision faster than she could read or respond. At this point, none of them expected responses anymore. It was enough just to send the messages to her on real time, just like everyone else. An older woman stepped out from the line of the designated area. All right. Okay. Red light surrounded the offender in the sun as the enforcers, let's make that lowercase, as the enforcers closed from both sides. Ra turned her head slightly, which drew everyone else's attention, of course. It was the fact the woman was old. For a moment, Ra thought she might be doing it ironically. It was so rare to see someone naturally old that it took her a bit longer to realize this was real. The enforcer on the left reached the old woman first and shoved her backward as the other freedom casted the incident. The old woman toppled to her backside. The whole time she fell, Ra expected a fin or tentacle to pop out in time to catch her. Instead, the real-life old woman sat down hard. Through her enhanced vision, say what we got so far. Make sure we pull this up so I'm not blocking the view. Through her enhanced vision, Ra saw the old woman's wrist snap in a way that wasn't supposed to happen anymore. Brittle bones instead of elastic. It seemed so primitive, so arcane. She could hardly believe. Alright, let's fix this. So arcane. She could hardly believe any of it was real. Okay. Ra realized. No, let's say do this. but the old woman's cries of pain were very real. Okay. Ra realized that she was drawing undue attention to the whole ordeal. Maybe the lady lost her balance, but she should have stayed within the Freedom Cast perimeter. Otherwise, this was bound to happen. That was enforcer business, though, and Ace Ra did not want to appear to be opposed to order, nor to embarrass her sponsors. For this event. She turned to her side, away from the unfortunate goings on. So then she put on a display of red and blue and matched her changes to the pattern of the building itself. Let's say comments turned into a blur before her, and those modified in the crowd unfolded red and blue fins, wings, and appendages of their own in celebration. The glory of the real-time event was spoken of for years to come. All right. Ace Ra was still female at the 103rd celebration of the real-time launch. She sported more arms and legs. Today, she added fans and spines that wrapped around her like a dress. her skin folded over and around in a constant display. The crowd, so the comments flowed, and the likes filled screens faster than they could fade. Ace Ra. Let me make this a new paragraph. Ace Ra was... There's that extra 3 that I always throw into words. Alright, Ace Ra was an original. Let's say was a true original. There we go. Okay. The live crowd was smaller. Enforcers had long ago decided that smaller was better for order. Ra was never one to argue. That wasn't her role. No one paid to see her thoughts or opinions. Okay, let's keep going here. While the real-time audience celebrated again this year, the crowd below stayed quiet and docile. They stood apart from each other and away from the perimeter line. The enforcers monitored through Freedomcast. Their faces remained blank, even as colors and shapes rolled over their modified skin. They stared out at nothing somberly. Okay. Ra did her best to keep them entertained, even if they weren't allowed to show it. Okay. Nice 3. Thank you. Nice to the third power. Really appreciate that, Michael. Thank you so much. No higher compliment than that. All right, we're going to jump to another scene here. All right, Ace Ra. Let the natural winds roll across him from the ocean. He sported, no, I already used that before. He had a close beard and a traditional cut as colors and shapes complemented. And then, let me make another space here. I need to separate the page break. He had a close beard and a traditional cut as colors and shapes complemented and then contrasted with the colors of the water and the brilliant sky above. Cities rose from the waves in the middle and, let's say, further distance. Thousands upon thousands watched him perform from expensive rented balconies. Okay, hold on, let me fix this. The rest of the world and colonies on other worlds besides all watched too. Asra in real time was never to be missed. Say, enforcers stood along the dunes. Behind him to keep well-meaning fans away, safe and free. All right. Out on the curves of the city and crafts, let's say the decks, and the decks of crafts hovering above. They all watched in reverent silence. A few enforcers floated between and shoved onlookers to remind them they were there if needed. One person, clearly modified, slipped from a bridge. Okay, I need to put commas where they go. All right, slipped from a bridge between towers. She tried to hold on and added a few arms to do so, but not in time. She spun and spun as she fell. Asra watched and hoped for the best as he continued to move from feet, let's make it multiple, feet to feet, giving the universe something to behold. If she had the capability to form wings to slow her fall, she wasn't showing it. It was none of his business. It was none of his business. But he launched himself from the sands anyway. Despite the reverence, many people gasped. Let's say he became they, as he split, let's say his Ra split into many forms and soared out over the water together. They dove close enough to feel the salt rising in the wind. Then, together, they scooped up the falling woman and set her safely on the city surface. Enforcers moved in from all directions. Okay, let me make that same paragraph. It was then that Asra realized they had placed her out of bounds. They were outside the freedom cast zone. Ra also realized they were still on real time for all to see. Say the right thing to do was to step aside. But they remembered the old woman and the sound of her snapping wrist over 200 years ago. I'll say 200 years before. So they formed a folding shield around the woman. At first, the enforcers, no, let me put the comma there. At first, the enforcers backed off, but as confused voices rose, so did their anger. They fired painful energy through Asra's bodies. Let's say, okay. Say the enforcers. The enforcers fired painful energy through Aesra's bodies. They didn't like it. They didn't like it one bit. Comments rolled through their vision, daring to tell Ra that they should fight back. Things were already out of hand. And other enforcers lashed out at the crowds on their balconies, just to strike back at somebody. Alright. Ra split again and again and again until they were an army. The enforcers hesitated, but then moved in to re-establish order and freedom. Okay, hold on there just a second. All of Ra, I say all of Aesra, all of Aesra exploded out into all of them, and the enforcers were overwhelmed. Ra heard the first cheers they had experienced in centuries. Excitement and anger buzzed through the cosmos over real time. This was how the revolution began.